Alright guys, hope you're back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. And we've just had one of the most hectic 24-hour periods I can really remember in recent Call of Duty memory, with Pred landing in the US of A, potentially joining OpTic Texas. Some individuals hinting that is going to be the case. Does that decrease the likelihood though? But Dashy practically confirmed last night beyond any reasonable doubt that indeed he has been dropped by the team. Very much enjoyed your thoughts down below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate getting another like 150 subs yesterday. Out of control. You guys have been unbelievable. So has Reddit, in fairness. I mean, some of the stuff I've seen on Reddit.com the last couple of days has been unreal. Especially this one. Of all the pictures to choose, this was the one that was gone for. But, yeah, entertaining stuff. There's also been this as well, with a nice, very legitimate selfie here that was taken by Hex of Pred in front of this OpTic fan. And then there was even this one that was spotted here by the same guy, actually, as the first one I just showed you. Scump at the airport waiting for Pred, and here he is. So some of this stuff was bad. Some of this stuff I thought was very entertaining, such as this, and we're going to break it all down today. So, of course, we know that Pred is potentially linked to the OpTic team. It happened a while ago. Now they're considering it again. Ben J. Nassim said there are active conversations in the way, and from my understanding, those conversations are indeed legitimate, and, well, conversations have been happening. Whether anything goes through and anything is finalized, I don't know, but there's a lot to discuss. So, of course, he was coming back from Christmas in Australia, back to the US, flying back into Dallas, and, well, as we see here from his story, Sydney to Dallas. Now, there's only one Sydney to Dallas flight per day. So, you know, there was only one flight he could be on, and in good form, as if we're in a, you know, football transfer window, people were looking up the flight. So, you know, okay, back in the day in Call of Duty, people used to look up, oh, he's followed him, therefore he must be joining that team or whatever. Nowadays, we're tracking flights. I mean, I kind of respect it in a way, but Clay says this, you know, there's no way we got rid of kids tracking flights, and it actually was quite a big deal, this though. So, I mean, look, we've got to look into it. I can't just sit here and brush over this. So here we go. This is the flight here on FlightAware or whatever, and the key thing people were noticing immediately by looking into this is that it departed almost 4 hours late, and was at the time, I mean, I took this screenshot last night sometime about 7:40 my time or whatever. That was, you know, it was at this point about 4 hours late and expected to arrive at 4 hours late. So it was intended, I believe, meant to arrive at about 4 p.m. Central, and it actually arrived 4 or so hours later, which is quite a big deal, just because as soon as people spotted this, immediately people were saying, oh, hang on a second here, that surely means that he can't be making scrims tonight, because OpTic had scrims scheduled for Friday, and then if Pred is late, then surely he can't be playing scrims with them. And immediately after this, really, people noticed that Attach went live and said on stream that basically OpTic had cancelled their scrims. Now, I don't want to share the scrim sheet publicly, but indeed, the scrim sheet also backs this up, that the scrims that OpTic had scheduled for yesterday were indeed cancelled. Now, in fairness, if Pred was there in the team, like, there's no way that Pred would have been able to get back in time anyway. Like, okay, let's say Pred is joining OpTic, right, and, you know, Rambo heard that Pred was coming in on Friday, then maybe he thought, alright, well, let's get some scheduled scrims for Friday. The reality is, by the time Pred landed, got through the airport, got home or whatever, then, you know, a bit tricky to get any scrims done that night. Nonetheless, he did send the stream live, but OpTic have pushed scrims back until today, which they will be scrimming with whatever their new team is, it seems. Now, also to mention on the Seattle Surge side, just because if Pred was gone to OpTic, you'd have thought they might have been able to start practice a few days ago, because OpTic are starting today, Surge are apparently starting tomorrow based on the information that we have. So, yeah, if that's the case, and if Pred is gone, then why haven't they just started already a few days ago without Pred, with whatever their new team's going to be, with Wardy or whoever they get in place of their SMG? I think that was a rumour a while ago. Or there's some sort of actual trade here, where, you know, some of the OpTic guys go the way of Surge, and the Surge guys go the other way. I know there was some discussion yesterday, what if you get Pred and Accuracy to OpTic? That'd be a crazy timeline, but it might actually not be a bad idea. Accuracy is the main, Scump as the flex, Pred and Shotzzy as the SMGs, because I do feel like if you keep iLLeY in the main AR position, it's only a matter of time until that might need to be changed down the line. And maybe conversations like these, or whatever they're thinking behind the scenes right now, is why things are kind of dragging on a fair bit. But Surge have kind of denied this, right? I mean, they come up with this crowd control, tweeting out Pred, and then they tweet this in the replies to the OpTic fans, do they know? So it's like, you know, I don't exactly know what they're trying to get at here. Either the social media guy is clueless and doesn't realise that Pred's joining OpTic, or in fact he knows something that we don't as it stands. Now, Pred lands, finally, what a travel day, just landed in Dallas, he says. Of course, he knows exactly what he's doing here, I'm sure, unless he, you know, wasn't really keeping up with all the developments while he was on the flight. And, you know, immediately we've got more things being come out from CDL Pal. I thought this is pretty funny, to be honest, here with Pred in the background. Apparently this image is very easy to kind of crop out the background of. So you could just chuck this image everywhere and it looks like Pred in the background. It's pretty good, to be honest, pretty well done. I saw another one that powdered it with Pred in the background of the Hex quarters, but he's not actually there. Now, I've got to say that many pros and others have been tweeting as if he's joining OpTic, and based on my theory over the last couple of weeks, the more this happens, the less likely the move becomes. Because, I mean, this happened. Bleacher Report tweeted out, what's the craziest free agent move or trade in sports? And he says, Pred trade to OpTic. Now, first of all, okay, he deleted this very shortly after, but even just saying trade in the first place is quite interesting because, you know, a trade implies that someone's going the other way, either an iLLeY or a Dashy is going the other way to Surge, which I think might make sense for some degree for both parties, but if they can get the right team to work around it, because if they get Dashy and OpTic and accuracy, it's like, well, you know, Surge lose an awful lot there, but they do get Dashy, so I don't know what you guys think about that in the comments below. TJ then went on to delete this, and then Pred went live, and within 3 minutes of being live, had 1,000 viewers easy, so like, he was getting the OpTic gas without even being in OpTic, which is kind of impressive. And look, I do think that he will be in OpTic at some point. I think that is very likely. Whether it's in about, you know, 48 hours time, I don't know, or whether it's in a few months time, that's also possible. Now, of course, in the chat, everyone's dropping OpTic Pred, and Formal comes in, welcome home. Now, you know, in fairness, welcome home, if he was talking about the team, would mean that he was in the team before and is now coming back. That, of course, isn't the case. So maybe Formal just means welcome back to the US, right? I don't know, even though, of course, that's not his home anyway. So not exactly sure what he's getting at here. But again, just as I was saying there with the TJ thing, it's like, if Formal's tweeting this or putting this in the Twitch chat, does that make it more or less likely that OpTic Pred is actually happening? Maybe less likely. But the other part of this we've got to discuss is the Dashy thing, because there's still some outside chance the team runs it back. At this point, it seems that's not going to happen anymore. Whether Pred is the man, whether they just get Huke in as a short-term thing, whether there's some sort of trade that can happen. I'm impressed that more hasn't been leaked on this, to be honest. But this comes out from Dashy. Now, this is actually very interesting because this came out at 11 o'clock his time, that was then tweeted at 4:02 p.m. my time. So I'm on GMT. So presumably he screenshotted this and tweeted it out about 2 minutes later, which I think makes sense. So 4:02 my time is 11 a.m. in the Eastern Coast time zone, right? So I'm 5 hours ahead of the East Coast, but Texas is on Central time, right? Which is 6 hours behind. So if he was tweeting this from Texas, this would have said 10 a.m. It actually said 11 a.m., which probably means, almost certainly, I would imagine if this is legitimate, that unless he photoshopped it for some unknown reason, that he's back in, I think he's from Ontario or certainly on the east coast of Canada. So it's pretty likely with the detectives once again, the COD scene at it again, that he's indeed back in Toronto or wherever, like that kind of part of Canada, rather than in Texas with the rest of the team. So that's kind of confirming something, but also 2 birds, 1 stone. Now, does this mean nothing at all? Is this just another thing that Dashy likes to do, tweeting out Drake songs, or is 2 birds, 1 stone meaning something? Does this mean that 1 stone has fallen, as in a team change is being made, but 2 changes are being made, as in Dashy is gone and iLLeY is gone? Or does it mean that there's potentially a trade happening? Let's say there's a Dashy for Sib trade. I don't even know what's going on anymore. I'm just completely spitballing ideas. But if that was the stone, then, you know, 2 birds would fall, i.e. iLLeY gets dropped or something, and accuracy gets changed. I don't know what's going to happen there, but just read into that as you like. I don't know what more to say on it, to be honest. But yeah, 2 birds, 1 stone. There's a possibility that Dashy's meaning something there. The key thing I thought was the fact that he's probably not in Texas when he tweeted this out. Now, last night's stream was pretty crazy after this, because Crim6 decided to go completely rogue, and as he always does, and we'll talk more about this later today, because there was certainly more on this topic that I'm going to share in this specific clip. But it was very clearly implied in this clip here that Dashy's time on OpTic is at an end, because basically Crim asks him, like, you know, how did he feel like about the hate and the reception he was getting from the OpTic fans at the time? And you know, Dashy just straight up says, yeah, towards the end it was getting a bit worse, it wasn't dropping 1.4s anymore, and yeah, towards the end sounds pretty clear to me that indeed you know, he's no longer on the roster.
When you guys lost, right? Say it's 4 a.m. Demon hours, right?
Demon hours, yeah.
And a week after the tournament. Okay, no one's timeline's dead. How many?
Just you and your thoughts.
Yeah,
right?
just you and your thoughts. And then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna check Twitter. Let me go to the mentions, right? How many tweets within the last hour are telling you you suck? While you're on OpTic.
Actually, well, I don't know. Like, I didn't really get that. Like, I mean, sometimes it did happen.
Yeah.
If I got fried like an event,
yeah,
maybe, but it depends on.
But
depends
you
on
would
the
see
team
tweets
situation,
at
depends on
like
so
4
much.
a.m. like random ass times when you're thinking, I'm the only one on planet Earth who's awake right now, right? You would still get tweets from the green wall saying, you're bad, you costed, you know?
I'm not gonna cap. I can't really say anything too bad about the green wall because they always kind of like I always got more gas than hate. I definitely started getting like a little more hate towards the end, but
okay, let's focus on the end because that's probably when you started not dropping 1.4s. Okay.
yeah, towards the end it was
because I don't know any other player that can drop 1.4s, you know, consistent.
Yeah, this could be the beginning though. Like Krim, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you might be getting bad.
Yeah, that's what I keep trying to tell Porter. He's fugazing.
So going away from the Dashy stuff and back to the Pred stuff as we close out the video here. So it turned out that Pred, after he ended his stream, raided the TST guys because I think it was Hitch's birthday last night. So happy birthday to Hitch. He's 30 now. And yeah, so Pred did the raid, OpTic Pred raid, OpTic Pred raids. So I mean, yeah, you've got to say that it's very interesting nonetheless. And in fairness, in his Twitch chat, still Nightbot says the following: Pred is staying on Seattle with aBeZy, Mack and Zib. So Pred went live and of course was getting asked all the questions and didn't really, I mean, he didn't really respond to much, right? He basically just said, I've got nothing to say, nothing to comment on, nothing to add. So, you know, he didn't deny any of the rumours. And maybe if you're Pred and you're getting all this gas on the OpTic fans, you're not going to deny the rumours. But I think he's a pretty honest and straight up guy that if it, you know, if nothing was happening, he would say that nothing was happening, I imagine. But maybe not, who knows? But nonetheless, Nightbot says that he's staying on Surge. Now, I think this was confirmed by a moderator that this kind of command was added in the off-season, which makes sense, but was not updated over the last couple of days. Therefore, the Pred to OpTic thing is still definitely a possibility. Pred didn't deny it. People are certainly hinting it's going to be happening. Even Hitch says, you know, or Pred says happy birthday brother to Hitch here, and you know, Hitch wants him to do a shot, I think. But yeah, crazy set of events. So Dashy, after all the things we talked about, practically confirming that he's dropped from the team. Pred to OpTic is far from a guarantee, but there are a lot of pieces pushing in that direction, and it does seem to me that if anything's going to happen, it's either going to be a player that we don't expect. And I think even Scump said to Hitch that, like, Hitch doesn't even know who it is yet. Maybe Hitch now knows. But on the podcast clip we saw yesterday, he was like, oh yeah, Maniac and Hitch aren't going to believe this one. So it's like they haven't even told him yet. So that makes me believe that it's something kind of crazy. Now, whether, like, if it's Pred, it's kind of expected. And at the same time now, if OpTic don't get Pred, then, like, OpTic fans are going to be like, well, hang on a second, this is just like, you know, you've just blue-balled us for no reason kind of thing. And even though it's not like they've leaked it, but they've kind of been teasing it in fairness on their social medias, or just teasing some big change. So I don't know, like, it's not going to be Crimsix coming back, it's not going to be formal, I imagine. Like, is it Karma? I don't know. That'd be such an out there thing, but you know, they could have got Huke already if they wanted him. They're probably going to try and get Pred. If they don't get Pred, maybe they get Sib. You know, is there some deal going on with Seattle? Surely there must be some deal happening with Seattle to make this work. But you know, is Dashy just going to ride the bench? What happens to iLLeY? Because iLLeY, after tweeting out the Zeo give, hasn't tweeted or liked anything in the last several days, and obviously they haven't been practicing, so you know, still not a guarantee he's staying on the team. So it's still incredibly unknown, and I'm surprised how unknown it is at this late hour, given the fact that the matches begin less than a week from now. And OpTic have to inform the league on Monday what their plan is for their team going forward. They've got to tell the league on Monday what their team's going to be, so they've got to figure it out sooner rather than later, and maybe it'll get confirmed tonight, maybe in the coming days. But yeah, nonetheless, an absolute madness of the last few weeks that we have had, and even I think Gersh might have made this. I thought it was just absolutely disrespectful to Dashy, to be honest, but kind of funny nonetheless. And yeah, obviously wish him best for Dashy in the future, but it does seem like as it stands, he's no longer part of this OpTic team, and that journey over the last pretty much 4 seasons and a half is now coming to a close. I'm sure OpTic fans are going to miss him. I think like a lot of people thought that Dashy was going to be part of the green wall for a long time to come, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.